Hey everyone, it's Ophi, and I have another unboxing for you for a game from one of my favorite properties, and this time a book versus an old TV show and movie and cartoon and arcade games. And so we're going to take a look at one of my favorite book series here from one of my favorite authors. And shout out to someone else who has this book series and author as her favorite. Hey, Jolty, you've been waiting about a year for this one, and here it is, finally at our doorstep. Let's take a look.
All right, so it's a larger box than I expected. I was a little nervous as far as the size of the game box itself once I opened it, but it is about the size that we were told. And there it is, the Dresden Files Cooperative Card Game, based on the series by Jim Butcher. This is a great book series. I love Jim Butcher, and I was introduced to him by a classmate in Japanese in college. And he would read these things all the time on the train back home after class. And finally, he forced me to read them, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Daniel. So this series and his Codex Alera series are great fun, very imaginative and cinematic. Still hoping for a movie series or a longer TV series. But so we have a game here for 1 to 5 players. You can do single player, and you can actually do single player for the entire 5 characters. It's ages 13 and up, just because there are some rules in there that are a little bit more difficult to grasp for someone younger than that. Although everyone can play all these complicated games and work an iPhone at the age of 2 now, so who knows? Maybe it should be age 3 and up. It says it's about 30 minutes. I don't remember in the time that I played that it was usually 30 minutes, but sometimes depending on how you draw, you could be around there. And they have a learn to play in 12-minute and website there as well for those of you who don't have the game yet and just want to take a look at how to play. And it's mostly the same on all 4 sides until we get to the back. We have a little example of the board. There's a large board here where you place villain cards and different baddies and cases that you have to solve, because the Dresden Files is about a wizard in the city of Chicago who solves cases. It's a hard-boiled mystery series. Think the Maltese Falcon with magic. And it's totally fun, lots of fun, with lots of great, memorable characters like Karen Murphy, one of my favorites, Michael Carpenter, a knight that he befriends at one point in the series, Harry himself, Billy and Georgia, a couple of werewolves, Susan Rodriguez. Those are our example characters. We have the fate points that you can spend, attack points, and investigate. There's 155 cards for 5-player decks, and those are the 5 players that come in the base set. A whole bunch of counters, some dice, fate dice, I believe they are. 5 scenario decks. Now those are going to be based on the first 5 books, with the extra books in the series coming out in expansion packs after this in retail. There's a rule book, of course, even though they have the website there. Some organizers and foam blocks. A lot of people seem to like the foam blocks online. There's some flavor text, of course, and basic explanation, your little elevator speech explanation of the game itself and the world. And then we have the retail price of $39.99 US. And we also have, let's try to get them in order there. We also have the expansion 1 that we got to release there for there being way too many of us putting our money into this, which has Thomas Wraith, another great character from the series, Waldo Butters, another one of my major favorites. Waldo is amazing, and Polka will never die. And then there's the next two books there, Blood Rights and Deadbeat. For those of you who haven't read the books, go check those out. And if you can, definitely take a look at the Audible audiobooks for the Dresden Files with none other than Buffy's Spike doing all of the voices and narration, and that is a treat. We have the expansion 2, Helping Hands. Number 1 was fan favorites. And Helping Hands containing Molly Carpenter, a younger kind of apprentice wizard, Sanya, who is a knight like Michael Carpenter from Russia. There's Proven Guilty and White Knight, the next two books. Expansion 3 has Warden's Attack with actual wardens, with Carlos Ramirez, who's a fantastic Errol Flynn, Robin Hood kind of wizard. There's Anastasia Lucio, who is the leader of the Wardens. Small Favor and Turncoat being the last two books. And those are the three expansions that are currently out and packaged at this point. And it's kind of cool. We didn't get to see the packaging in the Kickstarter that I remember. But all of this was through the Kickstarter about a year ago. We also have some extra cards that we had released. A food dog named Mouse. Big, giant dog that pals around with Harry. And a crossover character from the Sentinels of the Multiverse game, the Sun God Ra. It's just a kind of a goofy, silly, nod kind of character added in there. And he's got some neat stuff in there. They had a print and play available for the game when we were waiting during production, and I did print out most of this originally, which is at my desk at work, in teeny tiny little card sizes so that I could actually fit it onto as few pages as I possibly could and still read it. Now let's open up the main box and take a look there. Alright, let's take a look inside the main box, and I did pull open the extra deck in here. There's the raw deck, which I think is just for the Kickstarter, and then there's the extra deck that has Mouse as an extra character, because everyone just would have gone nuts if we didn't get him, and they kind of did in the comments. But there's this neat little extra side job card. It's kind of one of the missions. It's a foe that you can fight for Evil Hat, the producers of the game, because in the books Harry doesn't wear hats. He doesn't do hats. So when defeated, Harry's player may shout, "I don't do hats." If he does, Harry draws one card. So a neat little nod to both the producer and kind of a silly thing in the actual books. But let's take a look at the box. And I was just reminded that there are some things in here that I shouldn't be talking about because they would be spoilers for the books, and so I'm not going to do that. I could probably do an extra video for that, but I think we'll let you guys find that out. On the inside of the box, we have pictures of the Dresden Files role-playing game by the same group here. We have Kaiju Incorporated and Zeppelin Attack, also by Evil Hat. And then, of course, we have pictures of the expansion books and characters. There's Sanya. Don't Turn Your Back. And Race to Adventure. So we have our rule book, of course, and feels just like any other rule book that you've ever touched of glossy paper. So it's decent quality there, and thanks to all the playtesters on there. That's neat. We have our play mat. Ooh, that's beefy. That's super heavy feeling with the 5-pointed star there, which is Harry's symbol. And then the giant full map for Fate. We have our showdown, we have our book discard, solved cases for points. And then you have all of these different spaces for all of the cards you need to attack or investigate. And they have a range of how far away they are from you, and certain cards reference that. This is actually also pretty weighty cardboard too. Those are all the Fate tokens, attacks and clues, or hits and clues rather. We have our Fate points. And then we have, of course, some baggies. Have our Fate dice in orange and purple. They also have a huge variety of different colors with Evil Hat, and they even had a few different ones that were Dresden themed, since of course they have the RPG. We have some foam blocks here, which I think are meant to kind of buff the space, since of course we're aware of kind of an average amount of cards per book, different characters they want to create, so these will provide buffers in your box here until those expansions are out. So there we go. It's Michael Carpenter and one of the creatures that he faces, which is in the book. Go read it. There's Stormfront. We have our side jobs, which is a series of, it references a series of shorts that Dresden takes place in, that Butcher has written. We have some characters and okay. I have some character cards and things there. One of the backs of one of Susan Rodriguez's cards. She's a reporter. And then, of course, we have a picture of Toot Toot, the fairy, who's lots of fun in the books as well, and go read it. Lots of fun. He's a neat character. And that's about it there. So let's take a look at some of this opened. I just briefly wanted to show you the backs of these. I didn't show those before. The expansions are listed at $9.99 US, and they have some neat little blurbs on the back and some pictures of characters that are going to be on cards in there. And the expansions actually have, you can tear them open like I did originally, or you can use this little thumb-sized convenient slot in the back on one side, which in retrospect I noticed is on all of them, and just open it up nice and clean that way. I just, for spoilers again, I was looking through the cards as I was setting them out, and there's actually a massive amount of spoilers for different parts of the books. So if you haven't read the books first, the game's not out quite yet, so I'd probably recommend taking a look at some of the books first, because you are going to be basically playing through all of the books in each of these with a lot of the main characters, some of which in here someone may consider a spoiler that they're even here. You could consider some of them a spoiler if you look at them, but for the most part, none of the characters are really that big. The book cards, though, and all these larger sized cards, they are larger. They're dividers. So these are dividers, of course, for the characters. As you can see here with mouse, they have that section up there, and the books as well with side jobs here, which is a massive deck. Tons and tons of those cards, easily 3 times as many as the other decks, because you can pick and choose some different things on there and throw them in there. And this is kind of a wild card deal there. There's all the tokens punched out and the dice, and they tell us that all of those are enough for the 1 to 5 players to play through the game. I believe you can max out on all these fate tokens, but it is extremely rare to get into a situation like that, because you're usually spending them and earning them as fast as you do one or the other. But apparently they do give you the max number of these that you can get. So a few people were concerned about that, but that's what we have here. We do have the art on these, which I believe is from the same person who's doing the graphic novels, with Harry and Ra, Billy and Georgia, Karen, Thomas, Michael, Molly, Susan, Sonia, Waldo, Carlos, and Anastasia. And then, of course, with the books themselves, and these are not in order, it's just how I took them out. We have all of the art for the actual books themselves, which is kind of neat, since I don't have more than 1 or 2 of them. And there it is, all piled up there with the 4 dividers left in here, 2 piled on top of each other. All the tokens, the 2 packs of dice to hold up the character cards, those all fit in there nice and snug. Still have some space in there for more. I'm sure once expansions come out, I will probably be using a little bit of that, but most likely some of this, because these are all of the books so far, which is about half, maybe a little bit more than what have been said to come out. You'll notice something I didn't show earlier is the books and even the characters. The starter set, I don't know if it's just the Kickstarter one or if it's going to be all of them. The starter set actually comes with all of the current books that we're going to get dividers wise, and then the expansions actually come with a divider and the cards for the book. These, of course, are the side jobs cards, and the side jobs deck is enormous. It's at least 4, 5, 6 of the regular book's worth of cards, They all fit in there nice and snug. I can't imagine using all the rest of this just for books. There's got to be something else that goes in there eventually, or maybe throw excess characters in here and put the dice in here once that's used up. But that's it, and we just take the board and put it there. Directions, and the box lid, and there it is.
So hope you enjoyed the video. Take a look at my other video for the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle board game as well. That one's a neat board game too, with some miniatures versus this one with cards. But take a look at the Dresden Files author's website. Jim Butcher has a neat website with a great fan base and a forum for his 3-book series and his short stories. And also take a look at the Evil Hat Productions website too. They have a ton more board games than Dresden Files or the board games that we saw and card games that we saw on the sides of the box. So hope you enjoyed, and I don't know what the next game is going to be because I don't have anything on the near horizon. Oh, I do have, though, the Reaper Bones 3. It's not really a board game per se, but it is a ton of tiny little white, hard to photograph or videograph miniatures, but they look really cool. So maybe we'll do an unboxing of that because that should be pretty big. So maybe we'll see you next time. If there's something you'd like to see, an old game, a new game, or maybe the legendary card game, which we just got into, leave a comment in the comments. And otherwise, have a good night, everybody, and stay safe and stay warm. Bye.